Now to politics. For those of you who missed my lecture on American exceptionalism, where were you, by the way? The main questions asked of me afterwards had to do with what can be done to help make the US more like other rich liberal democracies, that is, more committed to substantive equality, more generous and caring of those without lots of resources. I'm afraid that my answer, though in many ways inadequate, is simply much higher levels of civic engagement. In June of 1963, a month before I was born, the governor of Alabama, George Wallace, made a stand against allowing Vivian Malone and James Hood entrance to the University of Alabama on the basis of race. A governor defying a federal order. Where have we seen that before? The right of states to their own customs, practices, and laws sounds so good and democratic, if only states weren't so often the actual site of repression, discrimination, and injustice. Fortunately, plenty of ordinary people were outraged by the racism of Governor Wallace and those allied with him, and joined forces to change Alabama, and with it, the United States. Fast forward to Moreno Valley in the fall of 2014. The land developer, Ido Benzivi, not happy enough with the extent of warehouses in our city, and desperate to have his World Logistics Center move forward by the council, forms 4 separate independent committees to help finance the election of political allies. Final figures for the election cycle show these committees spent $598,398 to campaign on behalf of 3 candidates and against 1. Total spending reported by 16 other candidates combined was less than a third of that, $173,244. Now, though Mr. Benzivi likes to suggest that this money is essentially an investment in education, a kind of political re-education, I would call it, the per voter costs were one of the highest ever recorded, at well over $100 per voter. By comparison, Governor Jerry Brown won easy re-election, spending $3.24 per vote. One major factor driving up the cost to Mr. Benzivi in the Moreno Valley race was a lower voter turnout of about 40% of registered voters countywide. That's about 20% of eligible voters. As a country, the US is ranked 138th in voter turnout out of 172 countries that hold regular elections. For 18 to 24-year-olds, the voter turnout rate is 8.2%. An 18 and 19-year-old is more likely to be arrested in California than vote in a statewide election. If residents are happy with the higher pollution levels that up to 20,000 daily diesel truck journeys will bring, if they're happy to risk the higher cancer rates for the promise of more warehouse jobs, even though we know the promises always outstrip the realities. In fact, you might have read recently that Benzivi is asking the city council for $100 million in further support. Then fine, vote to support the candidates that back such development. But if you have doubts, if you think Moreno Valley should be a more varied place, more varied in its development, that this should still be a place for families and the outdoor life that Southern California promises, you need to get engaged and at the very least vote. It's not a revolutionary plan. It doesn't call for huge personal sacrifices. It's just a basic democratic right and duty in a modern country. The only thing more powerful than money is your vote. Don't waste it, please. Thank you, and many congratulations on your achievement.